If you'll give me your attention, please, Ms. Johnson has an announcement.
Good evening and welcome to the Sloan Hendrix Elementary Spring Music Program.
We call our program A Fantasy of Fun.
In it, you'll some of the most famous children's stories.
And we'll run across some favorites of your childhood days.
So no matter your great-grandfather or little sister,
Sit back and enjoy a tour of your childhood dreams.
and enter a fantasy of fun.
A dream is a wish your heart made when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartache. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is screaming, if you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true. Have faith in your dreams and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is screaming, if you keep on believing, the dreams that you wish will come true.
Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger, and Kate go with Little Grin in her pocket. These are some of the best-known characters in children's literature. They begin as stuffed toy animals that belonged to a boy named Christopher Robin. They came to life in the imagination of the boy's father, the writer A.A. Milne.
Alan Alexander Milne was born in London on January 18, 1882. Milne served in the army in World War I. After the war, he began to write plays, many of which are still performed. But it was poems and stories for children that made him famous. Christopher Robin, or Billy Moon as he called himself, was born in 1920.
In 1925, the Milnes bought a farm in Sussex. This enchanted place on the top of the forest was the setting for Milne's stories about Christopher Robin and Pooh. Other toy animals as well as creatures of the forest joined in the adventures describing Winnie the Pooh and the house that stood corner.
A poem about Christopher Robin and Winnie. Wherever I am, there's always Pooh and me. Whatever I do, he wants to do. Where are you going today, says Pooh? Well, that's where you are, 'cause I was due. Let's go together, says Pooh, says he. Let's go together, says Pooh. Let's go with Christopher Robin and his friends into a child's fantasy of fun.
not mention in that song is the happy, irrepressible Tigger. Let's find out the wonderful thing about Tiggers.
Adult words concerning the origin of these lovable characters.
When the first stories of Winnie the Pooh were written, there were 3 animals in the nursery. Stuffed animal to the visitor, but to the resident very much alive. There was Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore. Pooh is the first birthday present. Eeyore was the Christmas present of the month's layer. And Piglet was an undated arrival at the hands of a stranger who had often noticed a little boy walking down the street with his nurse and sometimes stopped and talked.
For these 3 friends and imaginary animals, the rabbit, the story began. They went on, additions to the film were made in the persons of Tanga, with Little River Pouch, and Tigger. It must be confessed that the newcomers were carefully chosen with the idea of not only giving pleasure to the reader, but also fresh inspiration to the chronicle of their adventures.
All of these animals are in America. The 6th one, Roo, is believed to be somewhere in South.
Many of our characters in tonight's program are popular not only in books but in motion pictures also.
Walt Disney's brought these stories to the cinema screen beginning in 1937. Several of our songs were introduced in feature-length cartoons.
As we continue in the fantasy land with Christopher Robin, we meet a little Italian lad who began life as a puppet. Carlo Collodi, an Italian author, wrote the famous children's story The Adventures of Pinocchio in 1883. Collodi's real name was Carlo Lorenzini. He took the pen name Collodi from the village where he spent much of his youth.
Collodi was born in Florence, worked as a journalist for many years. He also wrote human fiction for other many children's stories.
In Collodi's famous story, Pinocchio is a living puppet called by a kindly old man named Geppetto. The puppet comes to life and has many unhappy adventures because he's lazy and selfish.
At the end of the story, Pinocchio learned to be generous and honest and to work hard. As a reward, the fairy grants his wishes and turns his story through a boy. Fairy tales have been a source of delight for centuries. One of our favorites is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Can you name the seven dwarfs?
Sure. Sleepy, Dopey, Happy, Grumpy, Sneezy, Duck, and Bashful.
rumbling down the track.
Or who hasn't wondered what it'd be like to be in the circus?
And have a life as a clown, fly tamer, or a daredevil.
Let's combine these and meet the trained Casey Jr.
Here in the
Adventures in Wonderland has been read and loved by children and adults for over 100 years. It was written by Charles Ludwig Dodson using the pen name Lewis Carroll.
As a boy, Charles was delighted in entertaining his 10 brothers and sisters. His father was the Vicar of Daresbury in Western England when Charles was born on January 27, 1832. The family moved to Croft in 1843. Taught by his father until he was 12 years old, Charles went on to attend Richmond Grammar School in Rugby.
He spent a year preparing for Oxford and entered Christ Church College there in 1851. He remained at Christ Church for the rest of his life, teaching mathematics and acting as a church deacon. But a bad stammer was a severe handicap to him. His greatest joy came from entertaining young girls with his stories.
One day, July 4th, 1862, Dodson and his friend Robinson Duckworth took Marina. Alice and Edith Liddell, daughters of the dean, had a picnic up at the Isis River. Alice, aged 10, begged for a story, and Dodson began telling a tale about Alice's adventures underground.
At the end of the day, Alice said, "Oh, Mr. Dodson, I wish you would write out Alice's adventures for me." 3 years later, to the day, he sent her Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Dodson was also an outstanding photographer of children and of famous men and women of the Victorian period, and he spent much time on his mathematical books and the games he invented. But his masterpieces were his imaginative works: Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, 1865, Through the Looking Glass, 1872, and The Hunting of the Snark, 1876.
In Wonderland, Alice meets many unusual characters.
Let's follow her and the mystical caterpillar and his friends as they practice their vows.
Lyman Frank Baum, American author and playwright, is best known for his fantasies for children, especially the Wizard of Oz stories. He was born at Chittenden, New York on May 15, 1856. He began his writing career in 1880 as a South Dakota newspaperman, and in 1899 published his first book, Father Goose. Baum next wrote his most famous book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which was published in 1900 and produced as a play with immense success in 1902. It was filmed in 1938. Mr. Baum wrote 13 other tales of Oz. The most famous are The Wonderful Book, The Emerald City of Oz, The Tick-Tock Man of Oz, and The Scarecrow of Oz. Let's follow Dorothy on the yellow brick road to meet the wizard.
Dorothy met friends on what was sometimes characters as the straw man, the tin man, and the coward design. And each joined her journey, hoping that his dream would come true.
the great and powerful wizard as well as the excitable little munchkins.
Ding dong, merry-o, sing it high, sing it low.
This concludes our evening's trip into a child's fantasy of fun.
We've gone with Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh from the 100-Acre Wood to the world of fairy tales, cartoons, and the land of Oz.
We hope you met your favorite character. Now, here's everyone's favorite mouse to help us say goodnight.
Pleasant dreams, everyone.
Concludes our program, and we thank each of you for coming, and all the parents and all the teachers who helped with costumes and decorations. And the more people that help, the more successful our programs can be. We had a whole lot of help with this one, and we really want to thank everyone for all your help and for coming out tonight to see the students perform. Thank you very much.